Hello and welcome to Decoding the WSL, the podcast dedicated to the stats and facts in the WSL. And I'm Izzy Duddy, not Sam. I'm taking over for today's pod, and with me I have my esteemed regular panel guests. I have everyone's favourite analyst, Jacob. Jacob, how are you?
Hello, yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you. I think this is probably the first week in history where I can say that Spurs are above Arsenal in the WSL. So, yeah, very happy.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll get onto that, I'm sure. And we also have Tom with us. Tom, how was your weekend? I believe you're at a lot of football matches.
Yes, that tends to be a nice review of most of my weekends, to be fair, and I like it that way, I got to say. But yeah,
that bodes well for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. How was your weekend, Izzy?
Oh, my weekend was lovely, thank you. I actually didn't do a lot of football. I was doing rugby this weekend. So I was at Twickenham on Saturday and, saw the Red Roses lift the World Cup. So
amazing.
Very delightful day. And then settled in for a bit of football on Sunday, obviously, because I can't stay away for too long.
Yeah.
And anyway, speaking of the weekend's games, we'll go through them in a bit more detail in a minute, but quick overview. It was even Stevens at the Emirates, an early goal for Mornham, and an extra time shot from Lucy Parker made it 1-1. It was a tale of two cities at the Joy Stadium. Manchester City managed to secure a 4-1 victory over the WSL newcomers, London City Lionesses. As Jacob pointed out, Spurs took the win at Leicester, which rocketed them to fourth place above Arsenal. And West Ham conceded 3 goals in 15 minutes and went down to 10 players, giving Chelsea a comfortable 4-0 win in East London. And finally, for any Scousers listening, they may want to cover their ears as both Liverpool and Everton failed to take any points this weekend against United and Brighton, respectively. So I want to start with the Liverpool United game because I think this was a very comfortable victory for Man United. Fowler Joyce now has the most clean sheets of any keeper since the start of last season. And United just seem to be flying. Jacob, I wanted to talk to you about Miyazawa because, as I mentioned before we got onto the podcast, I finally, after many years, learned XG. So I was looking up the Miyazawa worldie and it was 0.1 XG. And then she hit the post a fair few minutes later. So it's kind of a weird one. She's only scored once every season in the last 2 seasons for United, and she's now had 1 goal and basically hit the post in 1 game. Where do you see her sort of fitting into this United team? Is she going to score more goals, or is she sort of done her one for the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think firstly, that strike yesterday, as of recording, was fantastic. It was an absolute screamer, and very unfortunate for Liverpool to concede a goal of that quality. And as you mentioned, Miyazawa hit the post as well, so really leading the charge in terms of United chances. I think it's difficult when analysing midfielders because when you're kind of looking at maybe those more defensive midfielders, it's not really those kind of attacking stats that you should be focusing on. So I kind of had a look back at a couple of stats from Miyazawa from last season, for example, and she was in the 91st percentile in the WSL for successful take-ons, and she was in the 95th percentile for times tackled during take-ons by opposition defenders. So those are very strong statistics for kind of that midfield characteristic that you would want. At the moment this season, Miyazawa's 10th for progressive passes this season, which again is important. I think what I wanted to speak about is more of a wider issue for United. Obviously, they won on the weekend, which is fantastic. I think one thing to note is that they're really suffering from squad depth issues this season. And if you look to their bench on the weekend, they only named 5 players on the bench, which really starts to show their lack in squad depth. From knowledge, I know that Anna Sandberg missed the game, Millie Turner's injured, and kind of in the game before, they had a couple of youngsters and an extra goalkeeper on the bench. But even so, they look really, really short in terms of their squad. And now that they're in the Champions League and they're going to be playing Champions League in midweek and then WSL games on the weekend, I'd be very concerned. I think United's starting 11's quality, but I'd just be concerned for how are they going to manage the rotations, and if they have a couple more injuries, they're going to start to look really light. And as good as I think Miyazawa is, I'm not sure if they have much midfield depth to cover her. So yeah, that would probably be my main concern for United, but very strong performance from Miyazawa.
So would you say it's the midfield they should be looking at? Because obviously they're going to have to do some recruiting before try and get some people in the January window. Is that where you'd be looking? Or because we know they tend to have a pretty solid defence and they can rotate that well. Turland and Mallard have been doing great, but like you say, I mean, FA Cup and Champions League now, there's going to be a lot of games before the January window even comes about, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd say definitely the midfield. I think I'm just having a look at their bench from the weekend. So one of the players was Safi Middleton Patel, who's obviously the backup goalie, Gabby George, left back, Celine Bizet, who has filled in at right back, but was right mid primarily. Lisa Norton probably provides that midfield cover, and then Rachel Williams, who's kind of aging. So yes, I think the midfield is probably where they should prioritise. I think they have quite good cover at kind of fullback and in the attacking positions. But if suddenly one of, I don't know, Zigiotti Olma or Hinata Miyazawa get injured, then United could be in trouble.
Do you think, Tom, like, obviously they've had a great start to the season, but can they contend for the title with a squad like this? Do you think it's possible, or is it, as Jacob's saying, like they'll be in trouble if they don't build that out in the January window?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything that Jacob just said. I think that the squad is too light, and I mean, Mark Skinner's even said that himself on numerous occasions. He's admitted that we need to do a lot more in January if we're going to compete on all these levels. And Jacob kind of touched on that Champions League, that kind of rotation that they're going to need to use in the Champions League. And they're obviously, because they were bottom seeds in the draw, they got a really, really hard draw. Let me just read it out to you. They've got Lyon, Wolfsburg, Juventus, Paris Saint-Germain, Vålerenga, and Atletico Madrid. And like the only easy one in there you'd say is Vålerenga. And then Vålerenga got a point off Bayern Munich last season, so they aren't really an easy tie to have. So you can't. I don't think you can afford to be rotating your squad too much in those games. So yeah, I think the squad depth is a massive issue for them. But yeah, again, like Jacob said, the starting 11's really good, and in that midfield, like I think Zigiotti Olma has been one of the players of the season so far. She's been so good. She had the most defensive actions and most blocks for United yesterday. She's just been really quietly going about her business in that midfield and helping maybe us see Miyazawa going forward a little bit more often than she was able to before. It's funny to think of Miyazawa back when she first signed for United, because obviously she came off the back of being the top scorer at the World Cup, and now she's a defensive midfielder. I don't know, when did that happen? But yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited with United, but it's only ever one crucial injury away from unraveling, and I feel, and I'd be a bit concerned.
Yeah, and sort of on the other end of that as well, I want to talk a bit about Liverpool, because obviously it's just been a horrible start to the season for them in many respects. But this game, I mean, they weren't really in it. Obviously, the scoreline sort of showed that. Was this also a case of Liverpool losing the game, Tom, as well as United winning it? Or do you think Liverpool are looking at relegation potentially now? Like, is it too early to sort of put them there? Or do you think that that's a legitimate concern now for them?
I think we kind of feared this, didn't we? with Liverpool before the start of the season. I think it's a very legitimate concern the way they've started the season, the way their pre-season was going, the signings that they've made, the investment that's gone back into the team after losing their best player. I think it's a very legitimate concern, and I think they did lose it in the way that they set up in that first half. The way that Gareth Taylor wants them to play is very possession-based, a very City Group type style, and the players just aren't really able to do that, I don't think. United completely dominated that first half, completely dominated it. Liverpool really improved in the second half, but United kind of done what they needed to do, I think. 1 goal in 3 league games isn't brilliant for Liverpool, and I think you only need to look back as far as last season to this exact fixture. It wasn't even a year ago where they beat United 3-1 and were absolutely fantastic. And obviously a big part of that was Olivia Smith. But, I think they've also made their own bed a little bit by not appointing Amber Whiteley. I know I need to get off the Amber Whiteley train, but I just think that I really am finding it increasingly difficult to understand why they went for Gareth Taylor instead of a manager like Amber Whiteley. And, he's just not adapting to the situation. He's playing as if he's got Alexandri, Greenwood at the back, players that can progress the ball really quickly and really effectively. And so those are 2 of the best players in the world at doing that. And I really the back 3 for Liverpool are great players, but we've seen that Gemma Evans has been caught out today, and they're not of that same quality to do that, to play at that standard. I think one more thing I really wanted to mention about Liverpool is that, I'm a little bit disappointed in the way that they're playing Borgraffa. We've obviously learnt that Borgraffa was the goalkeeper, was reported to the FA for use of discriminatory language, hence why she missed a few games at the start of the season. We've just heard nothing since then, really, from Liverpool about that. She's just come back into the team, and I'd really like to know what's been done to ensure that that doesn't happen again, or if we understand whether it happened. I just think I don't understand what's changed for it now to be okay for her to play. The only difference is that Liverpool have lost their first few games of the season and their keeper struggled. And I think especially in a week where, we saw Jess Naz subjected to racist abuse, discriminatory abuse, it just sometimes can ring quite hollow, the, messages of support from the powers that be when they're not taking issues like this seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say the same, in sort of the week after Jess Naz is sort of talking about these issues, and, it's one thing, we don't know anything, right? So how are we to know what's going on behind closed doors? All we know is that she's playing. But, what about when Spurs have to come up against, Liverpool, for example? I mean, that's not the point, but it's if we don't know anything about the situation, how can we guarantee player safety at that point?
Yeah. 100%. And, what's being done in that scenario is Borgraffa, getting some kind of, going to sessions where she's kind of explained these type of things and why this is what she said was so wrong, or why being discriminatory is so wrong. Can we understand what's changed? And we just don't have any understanding of that at the moment. But I know that is ongoing with the FA at the moment. But just the fact that she's playing, rings a few alarm bells.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the sooner there is clarity on that, obviously, the better for everyone involved. But as you say, Tom, you said it all there. It's not great, to put it mildly. I'm going to move on now to the Emirates. Arsenal had an early goal, Frida Mornham, put one in the back of the net for Arsenal. And then it was pretty goalless, as I understand it, until a couple minutes into extra time, when a bit of a scramble in the box and Lucy Parker managed to get one back for Villa to see it out for a draw. I was not at this game. I was at Twickenham while this was taking place, but Tom, I understand you were there. Can you talk us through the energy in the Emirates? Because I assume quite a lot of people actually had gone to Twickenham. It looked quite empty from what I saw on the TV. But it seems to me like once again Arsenal sort of failed to see out the game, and Villa capitalised on that. How did you see it?
Yeah, can I just compliment you on that great call, Izzy, to go to Twickenham, not to this game, as an Arsenal fan?
I made one whole year ago. I knew this would happen.
Sensational work, Izzy. I got it. And congratulations, both of you, on being world champions. Always fun. But yeah, I think it was interesting. I didn't really notice that it was a different atmosphere, to be honest. Maybe I was a bit surprised. I hadn't connected those dots that you just mentioned there about the attendance. But, still had I think 24,000 there before kickoff. Arsenal presented with that Ballon d'Or trophy for Women's Club of the Year. Captain Kim Little and Renee Sleggers accepted the award with members of the local community, which was really nice touch. And obviously the game kicks off and Arsenal started really brightly. They obviously get that goal from high pressing, Caldente doing really well, and Marnham really putting it away perfectly. I think this game really was a game of two halves, because in the first half, Arsenal create 3 big chances and Aston Villa create none. And in the second half, Villa create 1 big chance and Arsenal create none, which kind of tells a story. And I think one of the big reasons was the use of the bench from both sides. I think Arsenal, perhaps when they're 1-0 up, when a team's pushing forward and they want to try and score and they need to score, surely that's the perfect scenario for Blackstenius to come on. I was surprised that she didn't come off the bench. And yeah, there's talk of maybe Kelly. She came on in the 87th minute or so. Talk of whether she might have been carrying a knock. That's why she came on so late. So yeah, I think there was, and we're still not seeing anything from Kyra Cooney-Cross as well. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. And then on the other side of that, you have Aston Villa, who at halftime, captain Rachel Daly came off, Kirsty Hansen came on, and Kirsty Hansen was absolutely fantastic in this game. She really gave Arsenal something new to think about. She was exploiting those spaces that were left in behind when McCabe came forward, or when Fox came forward. Sorry, she was exploiting those spaces in behind, really. And she's so quick, so agile. Her dribbling is so good, and she's such a workhorse. Classic Scottish player that they never say die type running. And I thought she was excellent. I kind of asked Natalia Arroyo about that after the game, because I thought it was just interesting, when you see your club captain coming off in Rachel Daly, your head would automatically thinking, is that an injury? Why would you take off your captain? So I kind of thought, I asked her whether it's tactical, load management, what was the kind of thinking behind that? And obviously they played Tottenham in midweek, and what Arroyo said was that she really wanted Rachel Daly's verticality in the first half, that she wanted her dropping, her connecting, becoming the fourth midfielder to kind of keep things stable and not let Arsenal kind of run away and score a bunch of goals in the first half and end the game prematurely. And then in the second half, she obviously brings in Kirsty Hansen. What she said when asked about Kirsty Hansen was that it was a really hard decision not to start Kirsty Hansen, but she's going to be far more effective off the bench with legs tiring at the back. She's so quick to try and get in behind. And one of the things I really loved that she said about this was that Kirsty Hansen is like 3 players in one, because she works so hard. She has the legs, the desire, the commitment is how she put it. And yeah, obviously that kind of hard work helped pin Arsenal back. so that they're not able to control the second half and create as much as they did in the first. And then you get Arsenal had plenty of warnings in this game that this goal was coming, but they just couldn't arrest Villa's momentum. They couldn't create any of their own. And obviously, Lucy Parker kind of capitalises on some lax defending. And, you know, Lucy Parker came off the bench, scored, but Anna Patton, Sabrina D'Angelo were both brilliant in this game. And I couldn't help but think about Chelsea labouring to their 1-0 win against Leicester last week. And, you know, they also scored with inside the first 10 minutes and then had a difficult rest of the game and just about held on. And Sonny Bonpastor said after the game, what's most important is that you find a way to win. And put simply, Arsenal just couldn't do that. They couldn't see out the game, and Villa were able to capitalise.
Yeah, it seems like one of those stories where we've seen Arsenal do that before, and it's it's not great for their sort of title hopes. You know, they're carrying a heavy title now in Champions League winners and, you know, Club of the Year, but having that presentation and then failing to see out a game against Villa just feels like a bit of a juxtaposition. Before we move on, Jacob, I was going to ask you quickly actually about Villa's defence, because I think, you know, we've spoken a lot about the likes of Kirsty Hansen. Obviously, they've got some great attacking players in sort of Ebony Sam and Rachel Daly, but I think their defence has been pretty good throughout the season so far, and particularly Lynn Vilms, their new signing. She's been pretty good. How do you see that kind of coming into the rest of the season as they go? Like, do you think that this is something they can kind of really build from? Because they've clearly got sort of the attacking potential, but as we know, as actually I believe the captain of the Red Roses said after the World Cup, she said, "Defence wins you championships," which is a quote I really like, and maybe Arsenal should think about that one.
Yeah, I think you've taken the words out of my mouth, to be honest, because I was going to shout out Lynn Vilms as well, because I thought she was absolute quality against Arsenal. Just having a look at the stats, she had 4 crosses during the game, which was the second most. She had 5 progressive passes, which was the third most. And I don't think she was credited with the assist for Villa's goal, but it was her corner in the last minute that kind of, it was a bit scrappy in the middle, but it was her cross that led to Lucy Parker's goal. I think she has been very good and will continue to be a very good acquisition over the course of the season. I think it's very hard to judge Villa because, well, firstly, they've only played 3 games because obviously the game against Liverpool was postponed. Secondly, I think if you look at their 3 games, although they're winless, I think they've done relatively well. I mean, getting a draw against Arsenal is obviously a very good result. They drew against Brighton on the opening day, which again, I think is not a bad result considering I think Brighton are a strong side. And when you're away to Brighton, I think that's a good result. And then they lost to Chelsea 3-1, and I think they were relatively unlucky. I think maybe that's somewhere where they can improve, because I spoke about it on the pod a couple of weeks ago, but all the goals they conceded against Chelsea were just not the best quality goals, and I think there were defensive errors in all 3 of them, and probably shouldn't have conceded some of them. So I think time will tell on Villa. But I think there are positives to take out at the start of the season, despite only playing 3 games. And I think if they can get their first win, I can, see Villa kind of being up there and potentially like the best of the rest pack.
Well, they're playing West Ham next week, so that could be a good opportunity. Man City versus London City Lionesses. Miedemar and Bunny back on the score sheet, which is always nice to see. A bit of WSL vintage, it feels like. A pretty dominant performance, I think, from City, but I thought from what I saw of it, I didn't catch the whole game. I think London City Lionesses showed a bit of bite. They seem to be growing quite into the season now. Jacob, I'm reliably informed there was 2.6 XG this game for City. And I'm going to throw that in because you know I like my XG. Comparing to last season, under the new management, Do you think we're going to see a lot more from them this season? Obviously, last season they were suffering with a lot of injuries, and Lauren Hemp is out again. But this is 4 wins in a row now, and they seem to be playing a lot more comfortably. And I think the addition of Grace Clinton as well has been really helpful. Is this going to go translate into goals, or are we going to see them become a side that, like Chelsea, grinds out the wins?
No, I think so. I think seeing all of City's players, well, most of City's players fit this season again is great. Kind of having Bunny Shaw back is obviously a bonus. But I think City have had goals all across the pitch, especially in that game against Spurs when Bunny Shaw perhaps wasn't firing. They were able to kind of get goals from across the pitch. So I think there's a lot of positives from a City perspective. Bunny Shaw's an interesting one because obviously she scored 2 goals in the game, but they were both penalties. Shaw did win both penalties. So I think that's another positive to take. And she obviously missed a penalty last week against Spurs. So I think it's good for her to kind of get the confidence back and score 2. She does have the most XG in the league with 4.4. Although she has taken 3 penalties. But I think to have the depth of up front, to have Miedemar, I think Alba Fagino was obviously injured as well last season, but looked really good. It's a shame on the news on Lauren Hemp. I think the news was she should only be out for a couple of weeks, so hopefully she can get back into the team. I actually can't remember, but I think Carolyn may have been on the bench or not started the match, which was also a bit of a shame because I thought she was quality against Spurs. But yeah, I think there's
the squad. I checked that as well. I don't know if it was injury related. Sorry, Jacob.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've heard necessarily about Carolyn, why she wasn't in the squad, but hopefully not an injury.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that, but I think City will take a lot of positives, as you said. 4 wins in a row, that's 3 wins in the league, and really good to bounce back after that opening day quite narrow defeat to Chelsea. To have 3 wins in a row is pretty convincing, and I think if City can keep it up, they've obviously got a big game coming up this weekend against Arsenal, so I think that will be a big test to kind of see where they are.
Absolutely. And Tom, I'm going to ask you about Laura Blinkilde-Brown because I feel like you're a good man to talk to about stars of the future. She obviously got a goal and managed to nutmeg a few people on her way there. Where do you see her sort of in the future, both in the league, but I guess the Lionesses as well, because she was sort of in and around the squad this year towards the Euros. And she's clearly sort of making her mark at City now. Where do you see her sort of fitting into this team?
Yeah, I think it's really brilliant how she started the season. I did think she's had this in her for a while. I think she just needed, I think she's started 4 games in a row now for City, and just needed a bit of faith put in her to have those starts, because I think she wasn't as trusted to gain that consistency under Taylor. I think Andre Jurgelitz is a great manager for young talent, young players, progressing them. He obviously quite clearly has a huge amount of faith in her, and she was saying after the game how she'd got a lot of talent, not a lot of talent, a lot of confidence from him and his management, which is great to hear. And he did manage a certain Marta when she was younger, so he's got some good background in developing talent. Obviously, not to put too much pressure on you, Laura, but I think she's a really brilliant player, and I always remember kind of the pain with which Carla Ward spoke about losing her to Gareth Taylor when Gareth Taylor signed her from Aston Villa to Manchester City, and you can really start to see why. And I think it's not just on the touchline that she's going to be learning a lot. It's going to be from playing next to Yuri Hasegawa, probably one of the best in the world at the moment in that position. And yeah, it's just amazing to be a young player playing next to somebody like that, as good as that. And there's a lot of competition in that role for the Lionesses. You've got Stanway, Walsh, Clinton. They've done pretty well in those positions already. But I think she's obviously younger than Stanway and Walsh. not sure about Clinton. I think she is younger than Clinton, but yeah, she has the potential to be up there with the best of them, I think. And yeah, I can see her being a mainstay in the England squad for a long time to come.
Well, if you're right, Tom, you're calling it now. She's the next martyr. I think we'll kick Stanway out for her. That's fine. We don't need her. I want to talk as well, right? So I was thinking about London City Lionesses. Obviously, they've got Nikita Paris, they've got Izzy Goodwin, they've got some good attackers in there, and obviously Nikita Paris was great, I thought, in the game against City. She scored a great goal, and I think she adds so much to every team she's in. Somehow remains underrated, even though she's not. She's one of those players that is just really, really, really good at what she does. Maybe this is me overlooking things, but Grace Gioro, like, big question mark for me, right? It was a last minute sort of signing for London City. There was all the drama with Alyssa Thompson coming in at the last minute, and then was that going to be the record signing? And then, obviously Michelle Kang came in with her purse and managed to get Grace from PSG, where she was completely prolific. But in my opinion, she's been very quiet in the WSL so far. I'm interested to hear your guys' opinion on this because, obviously she's competing with other attacking talent in that team, but arguably on paper, she is the big name. Why are we not seeing so much of her as we'd like? Do you think it's a settling in thing, or I'm interested to know what you think?
She was carrying an injury, I think, until she had her first minutes in that United game. And I think this was her first start in the WSL. So I don't know if that's had some kind of effect on how she's being able to warm up into the season. I must confess I didn't watch this game, so I don't know how well she played, but I can speak to Grace Gioro as a player in general, and I think she gets into every single midfield in the WSL on top form. I think she's so good. She's so good, such a good player. And I think once she can find her rhythm, I think that she's going to bring London City Lionesses up a couple notches. I don't know what you reckon, Jacob.
Yeah, I think so. I know we're 4 games into the season now, but I think it's still too early to judge London City Lionesses, not only because not London City Lionesses as a whole, not just Grace Gioro, because not only are they such a new squad and have so many players, but in their opening 4, they've played City, United and Arsenal, which is a very, very tough start. And in their one game that they didn't play against a team in the top 4, that finished in the top 4 last season, which was Everton, they did win. So I think we need to give them a bit more time. I think the next few games will be very telling to kind of see where they're at. But I think obviously the games against the bigger teams have kind of run away from them. But they have been in the games. In the Arsenal game, they did go 1-0 up. In the City game on the weekend, they kind of brought it back to 2-1. And in the end, all of those games ended up getting away from them and reaching scorelines which they wouldn't be happy with. So I think for London City Lionesses as a whole, I think hold and wait and see how they perform in the next couple of games.
Yeah, I think that is a very good point. And also, I feel like if this is how they're performing sort of 4 matches into a season where they've kind of overhauled their team and brought in all this talent, if I were other teams in and around them, I'd probably be quite worried because I think having, like Jacob said, that kind of start when you've had those fixtures and you probably even haven't gelled as a team yet. Yeah, I think it will be very interesting when we inevitably ask this question in 4 weeks' time and they're in 3rd place or something. Let's go to West Ham, Chelsea. Were you there, Tom? I believe
I was, yeah.
Chigwell, yeah. The 2 best stadiums in one weekend is beautiful. Yeah, so 3 goals in 15 minutes, an absolute screamer from Aggie Beever-Jones. I could actually talk about her for hours. She's like my Chelsea player that I do actually love. Like, I can't even, I go beyond any kind of primal, like, rivalry, because I just love her. I think she's brilliant. Obviously, 4 goals in 4 starts. She's just 22 years old. Um, I don't know what more I can add to that other than just to leave those stats there. But, you know, from West Ham, as someone who has been touting West Ham optimistically, I've given up. Tom, did you see any signs of life from them? Obviously, they went down to 10 players because one of them decided to pull Alyssa Thompson's hair, which is just the stupidest thing I've ever seen anyone do. Yeah, are there any signs of life from them? Like, how are they going to lift themselves out of this slump? Because, you know, they've got good players on the pitch, but don't seem to be using them particularly.
Yeah, this was a really interesting game, actually, because that first 15 minutes where Chelsea go 3-0 up, you know, if you haven't watched this game, you're just thinking West Ham are terrible and Chelsea just have bulldozed them. But it was an incredibly transitional first 15 minutes. Like, West Ham, I think, created the first big chance of the game before that opening goal. And then after Aggie Beaver-Jones scores, Gorry hits the post, you know, and it's just that, like, they're really trying to play an exciting brand of football, and maybe it's just a case of when you're up against a team like Chelsea, if you're playing a transitional game, they are going to relish that. They're going to love that because they have players like Aggie Beaver-Jones who can finish chances out of nothing, really. Like, there's no way she should be finding the top corner from there. Like, I think you've summed it up brilliantly, Izzy. But what a fantastic player. And, you know, I admire the way that West Ham came out and tried to play. And on another day, maybe they score one of those goals and they can put a few players behind the ball. But yeah, I feel a little bit for them. It'll be no surprise to anyone, but I do feel for West Ham a little bit with the fixture list, you know, because they had such a good home record last season. It was their best season at home ever in the WSL. And they only lost 3 games at home that season. And those 3 games are their first 3 fixtures at home this season. So, you know, that's a real, you know, difficult one from the fixtures list. And, you know, Brighton away, like Jacob said earlier, is one of the toughest places to go in the league. I suppose more concern is the kind of margins that they're losing these games. You know, to lose 4-1 to Brighton, 5-1 to Arsenal, 4-0 to Chelsea is disappointing. But it would be really interesting to see them, you know, up against your London Cities, your Liverpools. If they can get wins in those games, that's going to be huge for them. But completely agree about Inez Belumu. I don't know what she was thinking then. Also, I thought she had an absolutely awful game, to be fair. There was, for Chelsea's second goal, Rika Kaptein kind of goes to the byline and cuts it back, and Joanna Ritten-Canrid just waltzes into the box and passes it into the goal. And then Inez Belumu is like this to Una Siren, as if it's Una Siren's fault. It's like, she's literally just walked past you, Inez. Like, you know, you've got to track that run. You're the left wing back. Yeah, for me, that was just, and then obviously, you know, yeah, I was really excited about her. I think I even mentioned her in like the pod before we started the season about who to watch. But yeah, it's been a really disappointing start to her career for West Ham, or to her this season for West Ham. And yeah, but I think to West Ham's credit, they regrouped. Fionn Morgan had a really good game. She played, I think, right back, left back, striker, winger. She was basically everywhere. And, you know, that's the kind of player you need when you're down to 10 players, somebody who'll just put their body on the line wherever they are in the pitch. And I think it was just very emblematic of the game that West Ham kind of calmed things down. It was 3-0 until about the 60th minute. And then they have their best chance of the game since then. Gorry plays a beautiful ball into Fionn Morgan. She comes through. Hannah Hampton makes a great save. And that's how Chelsea score their 4th, because they counter brilliantly. And it's just, you know, it's like working through those transitions. And it's one of the most difficult things in football when you're trying to play that kind of style, that kind of progressive style to manage transitions. And I think, you see the top teams struggling with it. And West Ham are certainly having difficulties with that at the moment.
I think, West Ham having difficulties probably sums it up, unfortunately. But I'm excited to see them against Villa because I think that could be quite a nice game to sort of get them back in it. I'm going to move on to Brighton v Everton, just because I want to make sure we've got time to discuss Spurs' win in great detail for Jacob. Everton have now failed to win their last 3 games. Courtney Brosnan is injured. I know at the beginning of the season, we basically all collectively agreed they were going to get 5th place. And now it's not looking like that at all. Jacob, I want to come to you because I want a bit of a sort of analyst insight into what on earth is going on at Everton. And also, I think it's worth mentioning as well. I think you mentioned earlier, Jacob, like Brighton this season have tightened up. They've stayed consistent and they've been playing well. So I think full credit to Brighton for this win. But I'm curious, Jacob, for your thoughts on Everton because no one really saw this coming.
Yeah, I think from an Everton's perspective, I would be quite concerned. I think just looking at kind of their season as a whole at the moment, they've now lost 3 games in a row. That's to Spurs, London City Lionesses, and Brighton. And again, if you kind of look at the fixtures and who they've played, they've not played any of last season's top 4. So I think to have 3 losses in a row, obviously they got that opening day victory against Liverpool, but that feels like it's quite in the past now, especially because Vignola's hat-trick was an overperformance and it seems like it's now kind of leveled out. And yeah, I'd be very concerned for Everton going forward, especially when their fixtures start to turn and they have to play those bigger sides. I think let's not discredit Brighton because Brighton are a good side, and I think it's a tough game playing Brighton away. Everton did have a couple of chances. They had a Van Kool shot from the edge of the box. Hanosha Hayashi had a shot from distance, which was probably the closest shot of the game for Everton. It was more of a pot shot from distance, but it nearly found its way into the net. But yeah, I think I'd be concerned from an Everton point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we see it on fantasy as well. After that first game, everyone loaded up on the Everton players, and now, in myself included, like suffering for their loss. I think also it's not anything to do with sort of the way that Brighton play, but what a goal for Brighton. I feel like it was essentially 2 Arsenal players falling over and from the sort of like Stina Blackstenius playbook, but just in Brighton. It was great. And I think Michelle Adjeman was at the time of the first game week the most selected in fantasy. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of people out there who are very happy that she finally got her goal. But let's go on to the moment we've all been waiting for because I want to make sure we have enough time to cover the rest, and that is Leicester and Spurs. It was 2-1 Spurs, which I think was a fair result of this game. They are now currently sitting at 4th in the table above Arsenal. Tom, thoughts and feelings? Is the top half finished on for Spurs?
It could well be. It could well be. I mean, it's great. It's been a great start. Great start.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear Jacob on this. I don't know. I can't. I don't know if it's going to be full analytics or it's just going to be like full.
I'm softening.
Spurs
I'm softening it with the sort of Arsenal disappointment before we go over to Jacob. But to be fair, Jacob, as our resident Spurs fan, in all honesty, I had no idea who Kathinka Tamberg was until she got to the WSL. Like, I genuinely had no idea who she was, which maybe that's me just being ignorant. But I'm obsessed with her. I think she's brilliant. I want to talk about her from now till her and Aggie Beever-Jones just from now till forever. I'm a very bad Arsenal fan, but she's been fantastic, and also Olivia Holt as well. I wanted to ask you sort of how influential they are to this team, because it seems to me they really unlock everyone around them. Bethany England, Jess Naz, how do you see them influencing this team as the season goes on? And genuinely, do you think a top half finish could be on from a rational and balanced point of view?
Yeah, I need to be a bit level-headed. No, I think yeah, as you said, the player that I want to shout out is Olivia Holt. I think I have to speak on Olivia Holt because she was absolutely brilliant and by far the player of the match. I think she just absolutely ran things in midfield, and there was a I mean, the amount of time she dribbled through the Leicester kind of midfield and defence, it was just mesmerising to watch. She did one within 10 minutes of the game, which she beat 3 or 4 players and passed it to Beth England, and Beth England was unlucky. It was actually a good block, I think, from Asmita Ale. But Holt showed that tenacity through the game, and I think her goal is a reward for her game. And I think regardless of if Olivia Holt had scored or not, I think I'd still be singing her praises. And that second goal, the through ball from Evelina Simonon, was brilliant. And then it's such audacity from Holt to kind of chip the keeper. It's such a calm, cool and collective finish. And I think she'll be key for Tottenham going forward this season. I think that's her second goal this season. She obviously scored the week before against City, and that was also a sublime finish. She hasn't started every match this season. She's kind of been on rotation with Olga Atinen. But I think going forward, Holt has to start. I think it's what Spurs were missing last season and what Spurs did have the season before. And the reason they had it the season before is because of Grace Clinton. And I think I don't want to speak too early, but Grace Clinton and Olivia Holt possess quite similar attributes in the fact that when Grace Clinton was at Spurs and now, I think she just had this ability to pick up the ball and just glide through players and just run and have that confidence. And I think Spurs lacked that last season. Holt obviously came in January, but the Spurs performances post-January last season were pretty poor. I think I'll stop speaking about Olivia Holt, but I did want to also focus on the Spurs defence because the City game last week was disappointing. But if you kind of strip that out, the other 3 games, they've kept 2 clean sheets and conceded 1 goal. And in terms of expected goals against, they've conceded 0.6 expected goals against West Ham, 0.6 expected goals against Everton, and 0.7 expected goals against Leicester. So Spurs are really not giving up many chances. And especially in the makeshift defence without the likes of Ashley Neville, Ella Morris, Molly Bartrip, I think there are a couple of players that have really shined through. Toka Koga has been incredible in her first few games. Claire Hunt, who had a quite disappointing season last season, I think it's been brilliant at the start of this season. She's second in the league for clearances with 28. And also Amanda Nilden's been quality as well. She's second for tackles across the league with 15. And I know that Martin Ho's been really working behind the scenes at that kind of, well, both defensively and kind of going forward. But to have that kind of foundation in defence and be really strong in defence is something that we didn't see a lot last season. It's a shame that we didn't see it against City, but if you can kind of shore up the defence against the lower sides and getting wins against kind of the lower teams, especially away from home, because Leicester are a strong side at home. They had a really strong home record last season, so I think it's a big win for Spurs, and to be 3 wins out of 4 shows strong signs under Martin Ho.
Jacob, you're giving me goosebumps, man. Can't believe this. You're making me like Spurs. What is happening? So those are the games this weekend. I'll quickly move on to cover a few aerial fantasy stats before we go to the real game. But just quickly to recap, I mean, I think this was a bit of one of those weeks in fantasy where it's like there's no real standout player or surprise player. It's kind of who you expect got all the points. But I think quite a lot of people had quite a decent haul, except me, of course. The highest game week score overall in the game was 87. I think I got maybe 39. I don't know about you guys, but I know a lot of people got a lot more than me. In the Decoding the WSL League, the first place overall is the brilliantly named RUSSOGO from Nat Elliott. So shout out to Nat. Also, especially shout out because at the beginning of last season, I was convinced that that song should be the chant for Alessia Russo. Like every game she scores the goals, like it would be perfect ringing out across the Emirates. But no, we went with we've got let's see what's go. So I think someone put Nat Elliott in charge of the Arsenal songs. And the best game week 4 score in the Decoding the WSL League was Viv Laugh Love, and that was Leah D, who got 82 points, so only 5 points off the total high score. So that's pretty impressive. Vika Captain got the most amount of points this week, which is not something we usually hear. But yeah, no exciting visionaries really this week. It was really a case of the top players, the scorers got it. I did see that JRK only has 4% ownership though, which I thought was quite interesting, given that last season she literally was like one of the best performing and highest owned players. And if you want to join along, obviously, please do. We're code Stats and Facts on Aerial Fantasy. So if you got more than 39 points, do join, because you'll probably be very decently high up the rankings. Cool. So for the last part of the show, I have prepared a game of Know Your Stat for us. And I believe this is quite a high stakes game, because I believe you two are battling it out. The sort of Chelsea and United, if you will, of Know Your Stat.
I won't make you tell us which one's Chelsea, which one's United.
Well, maybe the Spurs are Chelsea at this point. Yes, so I have prepared a few rounds. Some stat focus, some not, because as we know, I'm not exactly known for my statistical football knowledge. But I have a few rounds, and as usual, I just need you to give me correct answers, and we will play a best of 3. So, given Arsenal's terrible performance and Spurs' great performance, Tom, I'll let you choose first. You have 3 categories. You have defensive actions, you have awards, and you have aerial fantasy.
Ooh, let's go with aerial fantasy. I'm intrigued.
Okay, so Tom, you can go first, and I'm going to need you to name me one of the 29 players who last season scored over 80 points, so 80 points or more in last season's aerial fantasy in total.
Okay. So I'm going to start off with Khadija Bunny Shaw.
And that would be correct. She was number 20 on the list of 29.
Fallon Hollis-Joyce.
Yep, she was number 5. And the highest scoring goalkeeper, I will tell you.
Oh. Number 25, did you say, is he?
Yes. No, number 5. Number 5.
Oh, number 5.
He got 107.
Wow. Alessia Russo.
Yes, number 2 with 116.
Mariana Caldente.
Yep, number 6, just under Fallon Hollis-Joyce with 106.
Viv Asay.
Yeah, number 3. Good old Viv Asay. She got 114, so only 2 points less than Russo.
Hannah Hampton.
Yep, number 10.
Maya Letitia.
Number 1, 1 for 1 points. She was absolute steal. So next time anyone complains about how pricey she is, that's why.
Elizabeth Turland.
Yes, number 7.
Sandy Baltimore.
Sandy Baltimore is an incorrect answer. She did not get more than 80 points.
I think I forgot that she's not listed as a defender, is she?
No, she's a mid in the game. My apologies. Right, so Jacob, I need... do I need a correct answer from you? I always forget how the game works. Yes, I
do. Millie Bright.
Yeah, number 4, Millie Bright. You guys ticked off the top 7 altogether. Well done, Jacob. You take the first round. Some other big names included Katie McCabe, Dominique Janssen, Rachel Daly, Lucy Bronze, Grace Clinton, of course, Shakira Martinez, Leah Williamson, actually, and Courtney Brosnan also made the list, as did Katerina Macario.
Yeah.
So, Jacob, you have defensive actions or you have awards.
I'm intrigued by what awards is, so I'll go with awards.
Lovely. Right. Well, as we know, as Tom helpfully mentioned for me, it was the Ballon d'Or last week as we record. And Bonmati won the Ballon d'Or for the 3rd year in a row. And I would like you, Jacob and Tom, to name me any WSL player, as in this season's WSL, who has been shortlisted for the Ballon d'Or Feminin in a year that Bonmati has won. So in 2023, 2024, or 2025, any WSL player who made the top 30 list. There are...
Any current WSL player.
And there are 29 in total.
Hannah Hampton.
Yep.
Lucy Bronze.
Correct. She's been shortlisted twice.
Chloe Kelly.
Chloe Kelly. Yes, she is on the list.
Leah Williamson.
Yep, she got shortlisted this year.
Caldente.
Yes, Mariona Caldente, who famously definitely won this year. She's been shortlisted twice.
Steph Catley.
Correct. She was on the list this year.
Alessia Russo.
Yep, 3rd place this year.
Emily Fox.
Also on it this year for the first time.
Freedom Arnhem.
Yes, also this year. You guys are just rinsing it this year first, I can see. You're nearly running out.
Okay, I'll give you one that's not this year. Katie McCabe.
Yes, she is on the list.
Kira Walsh.
Kira Walsh is an incorrect answer. Kira Walsh has never been nominated for Ballon d'Or. I'm going to triple check this.
No way.
But I believe she has never been nominated. If she has, then no, she's never been nominated. Despite her achievements, which is crazy to me, and also I won't get into the politics of the Ballon d'Or, but no, she has not been nominated for Ballon d'Or. So I believe, Tom, if you can give me a correct answer, you will take one.
Okay. Sandy Baltimore.
This time, that is correct. Congratulations.
Thank you, Sandy. I hope she's made some defensive contributions.
Actually, do you know what? That was an interesting list because Miyazawa is actually on it after her World Cup that you mentioned, Tom. Miyazawa, obviously Millie Bright, Rachel Daly, Sam Kerr, Yui Hasegawa has actually been on it twice, Bunny Shaw twice, and Myra Ramirez. There's a few sort of injured players as well. So Lauren James, Myra Ramirez, Sam Kerr as well, who, yeah, I feel like sometimes we forget about Sam Kerr and then we're like, oh yes, yeah, Sam Kerr's there.
Yeah. Probably like second that year as well.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's kind of crazy to me that Kira Walsh has not been nominated for the Ballon d'Or. But anyway, I'll leave you all to draw your own conclusions from that.
Yeah. Almost as if it's not a fair way of assessing who the best player of the year is.
You said that, Tom, not right, so the final round, and this is for the game. I believe, Tom, you'll start, and it's on defensive actions. So I would like you to name me one of the 29 players who has won over 6 tackles, 6 or more tackles this season so far.
Okay. In the WSL?
Yes. In the world, Tom.
Definitely wasn't buying more time there, I promise. Ziggiotti.
Yes, she's second on the list. She has won 11.
Cuthbert.
Cuthbert is, yes, she is 28th out of 29. She's 6 on the list. She had 6 tackles, sorry. 1.
Mariona Caldente.
Ooh. Let us see. Is she on the list? No, she is not.
Oh, man. Oh,
now you know what it's like to be me playing Know Your Stat. It's just like make a random call and then just it's like desperately wrong.
Because she had the most tackles last season in the WSL.
Yeah, she's not been up to much this season, it seems.
Bloody hell, Mariona.
What are you doing? Can't even win a Ballon d'Or. Jesus. So, Jacob, if you can give me the right answer, you take this round and the game.
I'm going to go Claire Hunt.
You're going to go Claire Hunt, and you are going to be incorrect. So, Tom, you're back in it.
Oh my gosh! What? I was ready
to clock out.
I was thinking about dinner. Yeah. I was ready to clock off. What happens if we just keep on getting them wrong?
Ready. At that, I just press stop recording, and then we all go home.
Can I go for Anna Patton?
You can, and you're also wrong. She has not made 6 tackles or more. Well, won 6 tackles or more.
Oh, this is horror.
It's an interesting list, I'll tell you that. I'm just getting my revenge today for all the times I didn't know anything.
Can I go Katie McCabe?
Yes, you can go Katie McCabe. She also has not won 6 tackles or more. I feel like I've broken Know Your Stat.
That was going to be my next one. Amanda Nilden.
Yes, she is 3rd on the list. She has won 10.
Oh my god. That was literally on my. I said it earlier.
I know, that's why I said it just now. I was like, I know she's had at least one. So.
Yeah, when Jacob said that, I was like, oh, spoilers.
Can I go? I'm going to go Alex Greenwood.
You're going to go Alex Greenwood, and that is an incorrect answer. So,
well.
Tom.
Jacob. Sorry. Thanks for the assist. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that goes down as an assist. Congratulations, Tom. That was a deeply not well won version of Know Your Stat. Number one on the list, Julie Thibault, 13 tackles won. There's some very interesting names on here. Some you'll expect: Kirsten Kasperai, Anna Sandberg, Ruby Mace, Laura Blinkilde-Brown off earlier today, Sam Tierney, Jelena Chankovic, Dominique Janssen, Ellie Carpenter, Toko Koga, Lynn Vilms as well, and Asmita Ale. Other ones you may not have guessed.
All right, you've proven your point, Izzy. All right.
Vivian Assayi was actually sixth, believe it or not. Vivian Assayi was sixth, yeah, and Celine Bizet as well, ninth. She had 9 tackles. She won 9 tackles. Moika Minami as well from Brighton, and Saki Kumagai, Yui Hasegawa. Yeah, interesting.
You know what that round of Know Your Stat was like? Obviously, you remember, but the England-Sweden penalty shootout was.
Yeah, Jacob wore the shirt and everything. Completed it, mate.
Yeah, I was wearing the England shirt, but I lost. So.
Well, congratulations, Tom. Sometimes it doesn't matter how you win, as long as you win.
Yeah. I'm not so proud of this one, but thank you.
I'll go back to playing next time, don't worry. So that is all for today's episode. Thank you guys for that. I think we covered a lot of ground in that episode. A few quick bits of housekeeping before we go. The Football Content Awards nominees are out. Please do go vote for friend of the pod, Emily Herbert, who is up for her work. Yeah. My favorite thing is just to watch Emily Herbert's videos of her commentating on things. I find it really mesmerizing. So shout out to Emily. And also Aerial Fantasy is up for best fantasy football organization. So you may vote for us if you're not like me boycotting us because you didn't get any points. I also wanted to do
not really any points for the Aerial Fantasy.
A huge happy birthday belated to the man who started it all, Sam, everyone's favourite Sam, the Sats man, who's not here today. But yes, we wanted to give him a quick shout out. His birthday was last week. We're also giving away a copy of Football Manager, which is exciting. And I definitely don't need another football video game to be playing. But if you head to our Instagram, Decoding the WSL, get involved. You can follow us and then like the post, tag your friends in the comments, and then each comment is an entry to win a copy. And we'll also be giving away a copy on YouTube on next week's show. So listen out for that. But that is all. Thank you, listener, for tuning in to a slightly different episode of Decoding the WSL. If you enjoyed it, make sure to follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And you can follow us at Decoding WSL on Instagram. And as I mentioned earlier, you can join the Aerial Fantasy League with the code Stats and Facts. And check out, if you want to see our faces, the new Decoding the WSL YouTube channel. Thanks again for listening, and we will speak to you at the next one.